Starlight. Looking at the stars has always brought me a sense of calm and peace for various reasons, I suppose. One reason is that looking at the stars in the night sky is like looking back in time, or actually going back in time. My favorite constellation to look at is Orion. Its stars are positioned in a strong, cohesive, artistic configuration that, unlike most constellations, actually looks like what the constellation is named after. Orion is named after a mythological giant hunter of ancient Greece. Orion is the most prominent winter constellation in the northern hemisphere. It takes a very long time for the light from a star to reach our eyes on Earth. For example, when I look at Betelgeuse, or Betelgeuse, or Betelgeuse, there's different ways to pronounce it. It's in the position of Orion's left shoulder. Well, that star is 720 light years away. A light year is the distance that the electromagnetic waves and packets of energy called photons that make up light travel during the period of 1 year, traveling through space at a speed of 700 million miles per hour. These light waves, photons, cross 5.88 trillion miles in 1 year. So when I look at Betelgeuse, which is 720 light years away, I'm actually seeing that star as it appeared 720 years ago, not as it appears now. If something weird were to happen to that star today, like if some incredibly advanced race of space aliens blows it up with some unbelievably amazing weapon, people will not even know about it on Earth 720 years from now. That's when people would see that explosion. In other words, when I, living in the year 2026, as I'm recording this, when I look at Betelgeuse, I am seeing it as it was in about the year 1306. When I look at Betelgeuse, I am actually looking back in time to the year 1306. I am actually seeing the year 1306 with my own eyes. That is a mind-blowing concept to me. The left shoulder star of Orion, 720 light years away from Earth, from the Sun, from our eyes. In 2026, I look at Betelgeuse and I see the year 1306, or sometime in the early 1300s. What is happening? What is happening on Earth in 1306? Well, many things are happening on Earth in 1306. Many things are related to the transition between the High Middle Ages and the Late Middle Ages in Europe. This is a time when famine, plague like the Black Death, and war are beginning to devastate Europe. All of that is still happening as I look at Betelgeuse. Betelgeuse is the second brightest star in Orion, shining at a magnitude that is rated between 0 and 1.6. Magnitude is a measure of a star's brightness, with lower numbers meaning brighter and higher numbers meaning dimmer. Betelgeuse is a large type of star that is classified as a red supergiant, and it has a small secondary star with which it is gravitationally bound as they orbit each other. Red supergiants are the largest stars in the universe, several hundred to more than 1,000 times the radius of our sun. And they are much cooler than the sun. Red giants are typically very old stars that evolved from other kinds of stars. Our sun will evolve into a red giant star sometime between 5 billion and 8 billion years from now, as it runs out of its hydrogen fuel, greatly expanding in size and engulfing and evaporating the inner planets, including Earth. Orion. There are about 80 stars in the Orion constellation, all different types, all different distances away. There are 3 stars that make up Orion's belt. The center star is called L9. This star is about 2,000 light years away. When I look at that star, Tiberius is the second emperor of Rome. And there's some guy supposedly named Jesus who's still walking around Earth. L9 is a 1.69 magnitude blue hypergiant star. Blue hypergiants, blue supergiants are very, very large and very, very hot stars. Alnilam is hundreds of thousands of times as luminous as our sun, radiating hundreds of thousands of times as much energy as our sun, and it's 40 times as massive as our sun. This star and the two other stars of Orion's belt inspired the ancient Egyptians. They based the configuration of the three giant pyramids, the three great pyramids of ancient Egypt. The configuration of these pyramids were based on the configuration of the three stars of Orion's belt. When those pyramids were built about 4,500 years ago. Hanging from Orion's belt is a sword. Within this sword is the Orion Nebula. The Orion Nebula. The Orion Nebula is an enormous, beautiful cloud of gas and dust where new stars are being born. It is 1,340 light years away. All of the stars of Orion and all of the stars of all of the other constellations that we see from Earth, they are all within our own Milky Way galaxy. Therefore, they are all relatively close to Earth compared with other galaxies of the universe. When we look at other galaxies, we see a lot farther back in time than when we look at the stars of our own galaxy. The farthest back in time that I have ever seen is when I look at the Andromeda galaxy. The Andromeda galaxy through my telescope. This is the closest large galaxy to Earth outside the Milky Way, but it is the farthest deep space object that can be easily and clearly seen through a standard home telescope. The Andromeda galaxy is 2.5 million light years away. 2.5 million light years away. What is happening on Earth when I look at the faint glow of the Andromeda galaxy? Well, the earliest human species, that is, members of the Homo genus, they're just beginning to appear in Africa, some 2 million years before the modern day species, Homo sapiens, will appear. Also walking around Africa are members of pre-human Australopithecine species, such as Australopithecus africanus. That is the Earth that still exists as I'm gazing at the Andromeda galaxy. The paths of electromagnetic rays traveling from the distant stars to my eyes are like my own personal time tunnels. I can't escape the trouble, chaos, sickness, and insanity of the modern world by looking at these stars in the night sky. I can go back in time through these time tunnels. The times that I go to might be worse or they might be better than the modern day times. Nevertheless, I can temporarily break away from what I know I do not like in today's world, and I can find some fleeting calm and peace. I can accomplish this tranquil escape simply by looking at little distant points of bright light in the dark, magnificent night sky.